The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Good evening and welcome to The Divine Truth with Taj and our guest tonight, Katherina. Katherina, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
We're having some issues connecting to Nyssa, my co-host. I'm just going to try and add her again now we're live. For some reason, the call keeps getting rejected. How are you, Katherina?
I'm fine, thank you. Are you?
I'm good, thanks, yeah.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Nyssa.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Katherina. Yeah.
Hello.
A few technical issues. How are you, Nyssa?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you? How's Katherina and you, Tosh? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Had a pretty quiet day, really, but other than that, yeah, nothing happening really for me. I don't know about you.
No, nothing exciting, really. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live now, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks for telling me. Okay, fine, we're live. Katherina, it's so nice to meet you. I've been watching your videos.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been watching your videos and I absolutely love this topic this week. I absolutely do, because most people that know me know that I was born with past life memories. And in the quest of further understanding what I could remember, I have undergone regression, extensive regression, just to confirm that I wasn't imagining things, with a really good regressionist called Nicholas Ajula, who's on YouTube and the internet, and he's works with Hollywood as well. He's quite good.
Very good.
Yeah, and when I underwent regression, basically he had to take notes because I became quite emotional, and you can't really remember what's happened when you wake up. But it correlated, the facts correlated. And I actually went to one of the locations of one of my past lives to get concrete evidence, like landmarks and
Right.
yeah, things to make sure that it was tangible evidence is what I was desperately seeking. And I found that. And I also found that a lot of the researchers that were trying to debunk reincarnation actually found out that the further they dug, the more that they found out that the opposite was true. What they were finding was confirming that it was actually true.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very good.
So how did you get into this this topic, Katrina? Did you have past life recall or know people that did?
No, my experience was a little bit different. Actually, I was working in the bank. I studied law. I'm a lawyer as well. And then, along the journey, like I became sick and, the conventional medicine didn't help me. And so I tried for alternative ways. And along that path, like a good friend of mine, she recommended me the books by Michael Newton, Life Between Life. So, and I always wanted to know what happened after we died, because my mom died very young, when I was very young. She was young too. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was always, wanted to understand what happened there. And I was so fascinated by his books. And then I just looked, how is he doing this? And then it was like, oh, he's using hypnosis. I didn't know what it was at the time. And then I thought, I just decided, very spontaneous, let's learn it. I didn't know anything, and I will do regression at this point. I just thought, oh, I want to do the life between life. So I did a regression, I did a hypnosis training in Berlin. That's where I come from. And so there was a foundation, but I didn't cover much the regression part. And then I said, I have to find something else. And then I found like a school in the UK, the Regression Academy, and I went there for a specific training for regression therapy. And part of it was past life. I was not so much interested in past life. I was only interested in between life. And
Wow.
and I learned a lot there about regression, current life regression, past life regression, and the final stage was then to be trained to do life between life sessions, you know. So, and I had my own experiences, and yeah, a few things they just do make sense, you know, things you experience in your life, maybe fears you have, but you haven't experienced anything like this in this life, and you don't come to a conclusion why you have it, and then you go in your past life, and then you get an answer, not only an answer, but you can overcome that feeling, that fear or guilt or shame, whatever it is. So this was actually my journey. This is how I came across the past life regression.
Right. Okay. I should sort of explain how we sort of met, because last summer I sort of contacted you about possibly getting some regression therapy for myself, because I wanted sort of some answers as to why I'm in this community, in the alternative community, why I'm here, and why certain people have come into my life, whether they're from past lives or if I have any memories or any recall of any of these people. And we've sort of been corresponding since last summer, and we haven't really done any sessions yet. But I wanted you to explain to our listeners, like, how exactly does regression therapy work, and is it different for like past life regression and, you know, just for regression in general? I mean, is it the same techniques you use, or I mean, how does that work?
Well, there are different ways. So in the very early days, yeah, with regression therapy, people mainly used hypnosis. So hypnosis means you bring a person into a trance. And what happens when we are in a trance? It's like our awareness is expanding, or you can also explain it in this way that the conscious gets in contact with the subconscious part of us. And as many people know that many things are stored in our subconscious mind. We can't remember. So, for example, you know, there's almost no one who can consciously remember the time, you know, shortly after birth, you know. So our conscious recollection starts maybe earliest for most people when we are 1 or 2 years old, that we can remember events. But if you go before this time, we can't remember. So you can use hypnosis, like bring a person in trance, and this can be done in different ways. So the classical way would be just to really give you an understanding. So the very classical hypnosis way is like you just go in relaxation, and the facilitator, you know, the therapist will tell you just relax your body, you know, your hands, your legs, and everything, and you go in a really nice state of relaxation. And what happens in that moment is you close your eyes and you focus inside, internally. And as you relax, so your mind gets a bit more quiet, and then you are able really to go more deeper inside you. And when we are in this trance state, so it's possible to get access to memories, long forgotten memories, either from this current life, you know. It might be you conscious know this, but you have forgotten about it, or even you can go to moments in your life you don't have any conscious recollection. And I'm talking here about the time in the womb of the mother. I did many sessions like covering this part of our life, you know, the birth and prenatal time, which has a very strong impact on us. You know, it depends if we, like the mom was looking forward to get us, or, you know, if there were fear from the mother because we feel it. No, but this is only one way using hypnosis. A different way is, let's see, if someone comes to me and say, you know what, I have this fear and I don't know where it comes from. So I give you an example. So there was a woman coming and she said, I have, you know, some incredible tension in my body and there's a fear, but I cannot explain, cannot pinpoint it where it comes from. But I want to find out more about it. I get panic attacks. I don't know what it is. So, and this woman was absolutely not convinced about past life or anything. So I said, let's do a regression, and wherever we will come out at the end. And she said, okay, let's do this. And so I didn't use any hypnosis in a way of relaxing anything. I just asked her to focus on that emotion, that fear, if she can let it come a bit more up. And then you can use this emotion and you just say, okay, focus on that feeling and go all the way back where you first experienced this feeling. So, and sometimes people stay in this life and they say, I feel I'm very small. And then I would ask, okay, do you feel it's the first time you have this feeling? Is it a very new feeling? And they say, no, it's very familiar. And then I say, okay, then let's go further back. And then they go back. And this particular woman, for example, she found herself in a past life where she unfortunately has been sexual abused. Yeah. And this memory was still in her, and as a data, as information stored in her subconscious mind. And so the whole body was responding the moment she entered the past life information. The whole body responded, and she did movements and cramping, and she was screaming, and she didn't know what happened, but she was in the middle of that past life experience. So, and this is one way how to, over regression therapy, to go into events to find the root cause why we are holding certain emotions. So different ways to enter this. But you know what? Sometimes people, you don't have to go in hypnosis. Sometimes maybe you are on holidays in a certain country and you get flashbacks, or you get flashbacks over dreams. You just go out of the blue. You feel, oh, I know this. I have been there before. Or like Nyssa said, I work with children as well. They could remember their past lives. And it was very difficult for the parents if they don't believe in there, because they try to tell the child, oh, no, it's not true. But the child knows it's true. Yeah. So this is different ways to get past life information or past life memories, so to speak. Yeah.
Right, that's very interesting, because we did a show last week about detox, and we were talking about cellular memory. Like when you go through a detox, you start experiencing almost like an awakening, and you start accessing your cellular memory.
Yeah.
And you start accessing memories from this life, past lives, and you go through almost like that sort of a process, processing that experience. Have you ever come across that, where people have changed, something in their life, an aspect of their life, like their diet, and they suddenly get these memories coming back, through cellular memory? I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, I haven't had people, they changed their diet and they could recall past lives. But what I know, if people change their diet, stuff comes up, like unprocessed emotions
Yeah.
coming up, and they remember, oh my God, it gets much stronger and they need to do something. Yeah. Because that was all when all the junk, so to speak, comes out, also emotions are easier accessible because they are much more clear. Yeah. So this is my experience there.
Does regression therapy work for everyone? Because I know some people it's quite difficult to put under in a hypnosis, because I had some hypnosis done to me a few years ago for anxiety, and it didn't really work. Even though I was able to be put under a suggestion or whatever as to why I felt anxiety. They couldn't bring it forward for some reason. They couldn't, find the solution. Maybe it was just that particular hypnotherapist, or personally, I think it's quite difficult to put me under. I don't know why that is. I also find it very, very difficult to meditate, to clear my mind. I always have a lot of stuff going on in my head. I don't know why, but have you ever come across people where it hasn't worked, where regression therapy doesn't work?
Yes. So first, I want to answer if you or if someone experienced pain or fear, let's say fear, anxiety, yeah. So as you said before, it's stored in a physical level. So it's stored subconsciously, but also on the physical level. The body stores information, whatever happened there, yeah. Because if there was if there's fear, most likely there was a traumatic event behind this, because if the fear gets stronger, and you have it like once a week or a few times a month, it means there's some unprocessed stuff going on subconsciously. And what you can do there, you don't, as I say, you don't have to go under hypnosis. You can work with the body. The body will show you this. And I do this sometimes. I just had this week a session also with a woman, and she said, it's very difficult for me to imagine something or to see something in meditation, similar what you said, Touch. And I said, you
Yeah.
know what? Just work with the body and the feelings, because everyone can feel. There's nobody on this planet who cannot feel, except a person is so traumatized, that the person decided to not feel anymore, and they feel just frozen, they can't feel, But
Right.
feelings are there. This is an ability every human being has. And if you use these feelings, you can work with the body, and the body can show you things. You can ask your body, show us what happened there. And I'm telling you, something will come up. No, another thing is, if it was a very traumatic event, let's see, there's a fear. And sometimes, unfortunately, but it's the reality. I have many, many people who experience sexual abuse. I have my practice here in Dublin, in Ireland, and it's almost every second person. It's just incredible high, the number. And these events, they are very, very difficult when a person experiences as a child. And one way to cope with this is to bury this as deep as we can. So some people can still, as an adult conscious, remember, and some others they can't, but they experience fear, or they can't, they get panic if they can close to a certain person or to their partner. So they just have the results. They can't remember, And if you want to bring them in hypnosis, let's see, they come and say, you know what, I want to find out what the fear is. But, the protection is so strong, because what we do, if we experience such a traumatic event, we do everything to not experience this ever again. Yeah.
Right.
This is our
Right.
surviving technique. And then it might be, if you bring in trance, they don't go there because the fear is too strong. They don't want to have this. They say, oh, sorry, I can't, And subconsciously, they really don't want to go there. Then I use different methods, a bit more, let's say, sometimes more gentle methods, to slowly help the person to build trust that whatever they went through, they can handle this. And this takes a little bit time. And then it might be it's not happening in a first session. Most likely it's not happening in a first session, unless the person already did some work before. But it takes a few sessions until they are able to go through such a difficult experience. Yeah. And and if you don't know about these things, you might think, oh, the person cannot go under, but the true reason might be, it's just that the fear to face it is too strong. Yeah. But
Right.
then also there are other people, they might not have like this huge trauma, and it's simply difficult for them to go there. Yes, it's true. And I sometimes don't know why exactly it's like this, but I have to say that's only a few percentage of people. Yeah, I would say from the amount of people I see, I would say over 90% are able to access information. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and only a certain percent they are not able. It might be they're on medication sometimes. It might be there's some accidents, damage in the brain, different reasons. But even there are people, there's nothing at all like this, and they cannot access this. I do not know why. I think it has to do maybe this chemical process in the brain. But I don't have an answer to this.
Right. Is that sort of linked to like DID, like dissociation disorder? Have you ever come across that with any of your
Yes,
clients, where people have, through a traumatic event, either dissociated
yes.
and then you like that links into like things like alters, where I don't know how many alters someone can have. I don't know if you've come across that.
Yes, all the time. So every one of us is dissociation. Many, many, almost everyone, because there's no one here who never has experienced a situation situation where, or let's put it in another word. So every one of us know what pain is, know how it feels rejected, everyone. That this is no life here on. You see, this is the planet here where we experience emotions. That's the thing, and you experience all things of emotions here. It's not like just the nice, happy emotions. You go through pain, to sadness, through fear, to rejection. And this depends also coming back to the past life. Because sometimes we just continue our journey where we left the last time, and dissociation is a normal reaction of a human being of a traumatic event. So what happens when we experience a trauma? It could be at birth. Yeah, let's see, there was complication on a birth. It could be the first trauma of the baby, coming into your life, surviving. Yeah, it's a surviving trauma. Yeah. So, and what we do if there's a trauma, so it means we are in such stressful situation that we can't cope with our normal stress abilities, we split. Yeah, because it's the only way to survive this. It's too much, too much stress. It's like too much electricity. Electricity goes through a bulb. Yeah, so split. Then you have two parts, and you have the traumatized parts, and then you have the surviving part. And the surviving part is there to make sure to not go into trauma. So coming back to hypnosis or to regression therapy, even a person that's highly dissociated, it can still go into trance. Yeah, it doesn't mean they cannot do it. Yeah, but sometimes you have to stabilize the person. It depends to what traumatic events they went through. I work with a different method. It's called trauma constellation. Where I'm working with the person and I can display these traumatic parts. It's also working with the subconscious mind. It's based, I don't know if you or Nyssa, if you know about family constellations, if you heard about it. So it's the same. Yeah.
Is that like soul groups?
Say it again, Nyssa, please.
Is that like soul groups? You said family constellations. Is
Yes.
that like soul
No,
groups, like when we
no,
come back with the same people and
no.
all our karmas are intertwined, or?
Right. No, the family constellation is a different method. I just briefly.
Okay.
It's kind of like just imagine you're sitting in a group of people, 5 people, and you have an issue. Let's say you come in and say, oh, I really have a hard time with my mom, and I'm still so, each time I go to her the weekend, I'm just getting so freaked out by what she's doing. She's still treating me like a child. I cannot do it any longer. Yeah. So you're coming to a session, like, say it's a group workshop. I just had a workshop today, and then you will ask someone of the group, but you don't know anyone. You ask, can you please represent my mom and can you represent my dad? They don't know anything about you. Yeah. And you will place them in a room and they will start to feel, very, very similar or almost exactly like your mother feels towards you and your dad feels towards you. And you will react. You just see this one. And this is a different way to bring the subconscious to create a living map, of your subconscious, but you see it. And it's a very gentle way of working with trauma. And there's a
Yeah,
specific
that's really
form,
good.
it's a specific form I'm conducting. It's the trauma constellation where you just see your traumatized part. It's sometimes very, very tough. And even I have to say with regression therapy, because it's so buried, you might not go there because it's so deep hidden, because it was so painful. And in this constellation, you can also sometimes aspects from past lives they're just coming up, and people recognize them. You will know if it belongs to you or not. I saw it over and over again. This is just amazing. No one needs to tell you this. It's an inner knowing. Every one of us has an inner knowing what's going on inside us. But because, of so many influences we went through, we came up with so many ideas of who we are. We developed belief patterns. We developed ideas like I'm not such a good person, or I'm not so smart, I'm not good looking, all these things, and they prevent us to really, experience our true self. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have the true self, which can tap into like the Akashic records, which is like the field of consciousness, which will give us information relevant to past lives and our course of the karma that we're building up and where we're heading. And then we have the three-dimensional aspect of ourselves, which is like a machine that's in this whole system, which is just running on programming that's fed to it every day, all the time. So, and then you have the battle between the two, and that's when you get illnesses and problems, and that's when you start to think, hold on a minute, maybe I need to check in with the part of me that has access to what I've done over the last however many thousands of years and where I'm heading, so that I can put myself back on course, because otherwise you can get ill mentally or physically, I think.
Can. Because we have to understand. I know. I mean, most people know what I mean by that. These like trauma, either from this life or from any other life, from previous life, they are stored in our energy field. It's information. It's data. Yeah, and they can create blockages in the energy flow, and they hold us in identification. Yeah, they give us an idea, maybe I'm a failure, yeah, something like this, because of an event which I haven't processed in this life or in any other lifetime, yeah. And that's why, I mean, many people are on the journey, on a spiritual journey, and it's, in my opinion, it's very much important to work with the traumatic stuff, unprocessed stuff, this life or any other life, because it holds us in identification. You cannot access your true self, because remember, trauma meets fragmentation. And the old shamans, they knew it for thousands of years. They do soul retrieval. Yeah, that's called soul retrieval there. It's nothing else what we do if we go in a past life, and we are, there are different intents why you can go in a past life. So I'm a little bit coming back to past life and regression now, as this is our topic today. You can, most people I see, they come because they want to get rid of stuff. They just want to move forward. Many people feel stuck. I have healer, I have mediums, I have people from all walks of life, and they want to move forward. It doesn't matter, where you are at the moment. And that's why they come for the session. And, even sometimes, I'm invited in a holistic center, and I go there, maybe every second month or 3 months. It's near, I live in Dublin here. It's near Dublin. It's not the same city. And at the beginning, because they were short past life regression, I just thought, okay, let's get people just a taster. And I always said before the session, you only go to a positive lifetime. And it never worked out. They all went into traumatic events. every single one went into a traumatic event. And then I just gave it up, I said, okay, universe, life just wanted to do me something else. And then, by the time now I go there since over a year. And I was 2 weeks ago there last time. And then one woman came and said, oh, I'm just curious. I just want to see what is. And I just look at her and say, you know what? It's absolutely fine to do it for curiosity, absolutely. But I said, stuff will come up. I just do it for so long now, and it just happens. I said, oh yeah, I don't mind, And stuff came up. She was crying.
I suppose it's,
I just went into things, and he said, oh my God, I didn't know it's work. I said, I told you it's work.
I mean, you're going to have past lives where you have, traumatic events. You're not going to have every single life is going to be wonderful, and so.
But you can also, I don't know. It's just with me like this. I cannot tell you why it's like this, because of course you can access gifts, talents, but for me, if people coming, they go into stuff which is not released, and it's not because I tell them to do this. They just do this,
Mm.
I know it's kind of like and then it gets easier because we don't have this packages, because it's like a burden. Any shame, guilt, anger, it still influences us in this life because it holds us in identification and patterns, and we cannot be free. We cannot access our true power because we are trapped in there, and influence us in our normal daily life. We might not know why it is, and Nyssa also mentioned Akashic records. Yes, You can access this, you can get information, but sometimes I have people, they want to do this work, they want to do Akashic reading, but they cannot go there because of a past life where they have been punished because they did spiritual work. So this is
I've heard of that. I've heard that it's forbidden from some people to access that because they're being punished for karma. Well, punished is probably too strong a word, but basically their energy won't let them.
We are here in Europe, and here in Europe, so many women, they have been burned in the Middle East as a witch, medieval time, thousands of women, and this is stored in the energy field, and then they're coming in here, they're having the gift, but they feel so much fear, So
Is that linked to things like soul contracts? I mean, can you find out, like, through regression,
right.
if you're under some kind of soul contract, or why stuff is happening to you?
No, this is a different level. Let's start again a little bit from the beginning. Let's if we do let's stay with the past life regression at the moment. So if someone comes and says, I want to be a medium, healer, or any other reason, but I feel fearful, I feel I'm not allowed to do this work, and let's see, he goes into a past life, and then so the first step is, after bringing him there, different ways, as I described before, it's kind of to find out what happened there, and it's not necessarily, most people think you have to see everything. You don't. You can feel everything. You have to use all your senses: feeling, knowing, smelling, hearing, tasting. So you use all your senses there, and so you can have a snapshot of a picture, for example, and then you just know, like the picture could be cobblestone streets, Victorian houses, and I'm in England, or wherever you are. You just know it, And then once you get all the pieces from a past life, you have the story, So you're still in that past life. So the story is maybe, So I had one case. There was a man. He came to me and he found himself. He had a female body, because we changed body, So we are not every time a man, every time a woman. So it depends what we want to experience. So we changed the gender. So it was a man and he was a woman. And he found himself, he was accused by some people there, and he recognized these people as his family members in this life, and he had huge problems with them, because they are all very Catholic, and he's a Buddhist, so huge, things going on there. No, he found himself in that past life, and being accused to be a witch and was burned on the stake, and he had this experience still stored, in his energy field. So, and for him it was very difficult to go into public, to show himself outside, because it was the fear, oh my God, if I do this, I can lose my life, I can die from it, So this is not touching yet the soul contract. So the past life, we see the issues. We have the story, burned, because of gifts we had, or maybe not only gifts, sometimes they just accused someone, but in this case, he was gifted, So he stores this, then, and then we know now this is the reason why he's holding this fear. Now, then he recognized his family in this life being the same people from the past life, who kind of threatened him, and accused him, that he is a witch. So the first thing is that you clear these things first. You cannot leave him like this, because just knowing doesn't help so much, because it doesn't help you to release the emotions. So you release the emotions, then you go to a next level. And the next level is that you bring the person, this is a classical past life regression, you bring him to a death experience. If you go through that experience, you will not feel any physical pain, nothing. It's just for remember. So usually it's very interesting. I never say it, but almost everyone tells me in the session, if they believe in past life or not, if they go through the death experience, they feel relieved, they feel free, they feel good. I never had anything different. I never had anyone going to hell or anything. It really didn't happen. I'm doing this work since 2011. It never happened.
Right.
So they all feel free. Now, when they are in the state, let's call it a spiritual state, yeah? Now, we're touching now a little bit Michael Newton's work, the life between life, yeah? This can be that the person remembers, all right, I actually, did make some agreements with these souls. They are my family now, and they were like the perpetrators in my past life because we met so often, and very often I played. Sometimes I was the victim, and sometimes I was the perpetrator. Yeah. And we just wanted to come to terms, to come over this, to recognize, there is nothing to win out of it. So, and they agreed again to meet this lifetime into the family, because you can't escape. Family, you cannot escape so easily. As a child, you're in there. Yeah, so you have to be confronted. And it might be in this, after you're leaving the death point, so you're leaving your body, so to speak, what we call dying, but actually it's a transition. You're not really dying. It's just you're leaving the physical body, that's the vehicle, and you go in the spiritual state. And some people do remember to do some contracts. It's, in my opinion, not always necessary to bring them there, because sometimes they go there and they just realize what's going on, and they just can let go, because then they might met these souls. They've been maybe a perpetrator, and they face them, and they just remember, and they say, what, I know why it was, it depends how deep the trauma was. So it depends on the person. And they might just say, it's fine, I don't have anything. It's fine now, I can let this go. I don't have to carry this anymore. It's just a deep understanding which occurs there. Yeah. And this is what you ask about soul contracts. But I have to say also, this is my personal opinion, even the life between life, even the soul state is, in my opinion, just a station. They are much more station, I see it like, just imagine like a house with different floors, and maybe the first floor is this physical life here, the second floor is the soul life, but the soul is also an individual person, and there are other stages, other floors that you can compare them with awareness. There's awareness where you don't experience yourself as me and you, yeah? And let's see, if you come to the awareness that I'm everything and everything is me, then the question of soul contract will not make any sense.
Yeah.
It will make sense if you're on the second floor.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because when I was reading about Dolores Cannon and her method, she taps into that layer of consciousness you're referring to. She addresses it as the super consciousness, and it's the layer of consciousness that can view yourself objectively to the point of none of it really matters because it all matters, which is a beautiful place to take someone, to wipe their slate clean. And, because people say things to me like, oh, I'd never forgive a relative for doing this, but then I know that, like, when this life is over and you go back, and it's to that level of consciousness which exists at the moment, because we're like fragmented, there's like soul shards, there's like parts of us that all different, as you say, all different levels existing all simultaneously at the same time, all interlinked. That's how we get intuition, because a different aspect of ourselves, say if someone's standing on top of a high building, they're going to have a different perspective and see further. It's not because they're better than us, it's just because they're in a different position. And it's a bit like the layers of ourselves. And I just think to myself, like, when you do finish this life, you do get to that stage, you realize it was all a game. We do change roles from victim, to oppressor. And that's a beautiful place to take people. It really is.
And, in my understanding, it always depends, when we leave the physical body, with what kind of awareness we leave it, because, sometimes it's not necessary if you leave the body, you have a full enlightened there. It's not like that. You still, if you had really strong belief patterns or negative thoughts, you might hold it for a while,
Yeah, exactly. Especially religious programming. That's detrimental.
Yes, very much. And I tell you, I know it's not really our topic, but it's just, I'm quite aware of energies. I'm also trained in different healing modalities, and yeah, I can see quite a lot of things. And a person came to me for a session this week. It was to work on trauma, traumatic child events. And then she told me, one friend, or not a close one, but someone she knew and worked with together, he kind of committed suicide, and she was really upset. And then she looked at me and told me, but you know what was really strange? I'm so, so sad, but I don't know this man so well. I mean, yeah, we worked and I really liked him. We worked together. But this is really strange that I feel so upset about it. And then she said, I feel like if he would be with me. And then, and the moment she said it, it was such an intense presence in the room that I knew that the person was there, because he was just committing suicide a few days before she came to the session. So, and then it's possible to talk to the person who was leaving the body, because it's nothing else at the beginning. We don't go, as I say, we are not fully aware of everything. So we still stay quite some time in that, conscious, we are left, and the reason, so I communicate to the spirit, so I feel, sense, and hear things, and basically what came out is that he couldn't cross any further because he thought, he took his life and he comes into hell. Yeah. So it was huge fear and huge shame.
Oh, so sad.
Shame, guilt, and the fear, and that's why he was too afraid to go any further. Yeah. So, and this is exactly, Nissa, what you said, with the programming. I call it also programming from church, because, of course, there's truth there, and for many people it's helpful, but has been also used, in my way, pretty much to control people here, to hold them small, to not believe in themselves, to believe there is a God separated from us, and it's very, very much strong in I think in the collective conscious.
Yeah, well, reincarnation was written out of the Bible because they needed the fear of hell to control people.
Yes.
Because if you tell someone that they're an immortal being of like different layers of consciousness that ripple through every single dimension in time and space, it's going to be very hard to control them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and and the more we come to ourselves, the more we can let go of identifications we have, what we think, what we are, and we become, or we are more of our true self, because it's always there each moment, as you said, and then we will realize that, oh gosh, we are very powerful, very powerful.
It's an interesting subject, like what happens to us after we die. So, I mean, you would probably know more from the regressions that you've done. What would you say is your idea of what happens to us after death?
Well, based what people tell me from the regression, if they go there, as I said, everyone feels relieved. Everyone is say, "Oh my God, I'm free."
I can imagine.
They feel free, and also not only from the regression, you can also listen to people with a near-death experience. There are many people why they step forward and tell about their experiences. And I have also a friend; she had a near-death experience. She's a very good therapist, and there almost everyone says, I didn't want to come back, because it was so nice and lovely, when they go to the right station, to the right, where, according to their conscious awareness, they go there, and it's nice, it's lovely, because what seems like in the in-between life, we don't have these emotions like hate or anger, this really intense emotion we experience here on earth. It's not really so strong there. Yeah. So it seems like this. So that's why people, first of all, if they, let's see, they had a past life when they had maybe a violent death, or they had a battle and the sword was just sticking there in the shoulder, or whatever happened there, first of all, there's no physical pain, gone. Yeah, it's not there. I mean, in a past life, you don't experience such a pain one-to-one, but it might be, if it's it might be the body still holds an imprint. Yeah. And just give you a quick example. I had a woman here this week as well, and she has TB. Yeah. And there was something with the lungs. So she went into a past life, and she was, first of all, in a bottle, like very, very long time ago, she said. That's the way she felt it. And so someone came from behind and was putting a sword on the left side of her lungs. It's exactly where the TB is. Yeah, she says it's a gray spot there. And then she was not very dead, not dead yet, but she was buried alive then, and she was suffocating then. So the TB is all about the lungs. Yeah. And so it can be that we are holding still very, very strong physical emotions about the subconsciously the dead, which we remember subconsciously. But the moment then you leave the body, it's gone. No pain, nothing at all. So if
So
anyone,
you
yes,
can actually physically like manifest things from your previous lives, like something like that, where
it's just
you died.
very often is subconsciously touched. It's
Right.
subconscious. Because people, usually that's the thing. If you come here on this planet, you are wiped out. There are a few people they remember. I know children they remember very well, because they are not so programmed yet.
Yeah.
They're still free and they just know, like you, Nyssa, some souls, they're just coming in here, some spirits, and they have this memory. But most people they can't remember their past life, so they just are confronted with the results now. There could be physical issues, sickness. There could be relationship issues. It could be at work. You don't know that you met these people before, but actually you really continue the whole thing there.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so for everyone outside who listens to the show today, if they have people, they are sick and they pass, they don't suffer from the physical pain anymore because the body stays here and we like a spirit, as awareness or whatever name you want to give it, we don't have this anymore because the physical pain is connected to the body and this is over once you leave the body. It's over. Yeah.
Right.
Then, people feel relief, but also, sometimes they say, oh, I wanted to experience this one and this one. I also never experienced as I said, I never had anyone, and I regressed hundreds of people really. No one ever went to hell. No one. Not a single person. I haven't come across this one. I think it's
Yeah. I
really,
think that's sort of something that religion has created, isn't it?
yeah.
With the fear, you have to have that fear.
That's the fear. What we know from people with near-death experience, when you leave the body, what they say that you create straight away with your thoughts. But as I say, it takes a while until you adjust, yeah. But what you're thinking, you're gonna see straight away. You're gonna experience, yeah. And it might be if someone's very negative or strong fear, then you see some stuff which is not so nice because you're going to flow to the different level of conscious awareness there, and then you might see and you think it's hell, but it's not because your own thoughts, or your own negativity you're confronted with. Yeah. So this is what happens. And then when they're out of their life and they go a little bit in between life, they sometimes they review their own life. Very often they think, oh, I did this one, yeah, I did it quite good, but this one, yeah, no, it wasn't the way I wanted to do this, so let's get another situation, and let's do it again, and maybe, let's see how it goes next time, yeah. So,
Right.
but I have to also say, even people report this, there's still a huge field to explore. It's just tiny bits. I know. I don't say it's like that. It's like yes, it's one experience of people. But I think there are many different experiences there. Anything is possible. But I have to stretch out here. No hell, absolutely not happening.
Okay.
So,
You also do energy clearing. How does that work as part of the regression? I guess you have to find out first what issues that person has, links to past lives or whatever, before you do the energy clearing. Is that how it works?
well, it depends. Like when I go back to the example I brought was the woman, she came here for the session and she told me about, that her work colleague was passing away and the energy was straight in the room, so then we work with it, or sometimes it happens, even it's just, if someone comes to me, we always have a chat. This is the first time. You don't go straight in the session. You just need to know a little bit who's there, get a little bit of feeling. They get a feeling of you so that people feel comfortable, yeah? And then you're just sitting there, and then out of the blue, then maybe the mother who passed away is in the middle of the room, and I'm just asking the person if someone was passing because I have a female person here, and they say yes, and then you have to see, it might be like, that sometimes if a person pass, and they can leave fragments here, fragments of them. It's not a whole soul, but they leave fragments. And sometimes they can be attached to the person of the family. Yeah, it could be an uncle who passed, and then, the person still has it. I had an example also that was just quite recently. This was interesting, yeah. And we did a clearing before because it just came up, and it was her grandmother, and there were fragments of the grandmother in her auric field, yeah, because it wasn't clear how the grandmother was passing, yeah. And I was sitting there and she was just chatting away. I was asking some questions, and then I felt a presence, yeah, from the grandmother. And I have to say, I just heard murdered, and I thought, where's this coming from? It's totally strange because she didn't tell me anything. And then she started to talk about the grandmother, and I just asked what happened to her, and she burst out in tears, and she said, no one knows, but it can't be she has been murdered. Yeah, so I knew, okay, then you just know, okay, there's something going on there, yeah. And this could be, they're really, that sometimes it's a bit strange, but every person knows and feels it, yeah.
We're just going to go to a commercial break, so if you just mute your microphone, we're back in a few minutes, okay?
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello and welcome back to The Divine Truth on Revolution Radio. Before we continue with the interview, I just want to say Revolution Radio is a listener-supported station. We do rely on your donations to keep us on air. The current total at the moment is $2,468. Our target is $2,800, so we're just short for this month. If you want to donate, go to freedomslips.com, where you can buy one of our seed packs starting at $60. All of our seeds are non-hybrid, non-GMO heirloom seeds, or you can donate monthly using the monthly support club, where you can donate starting from $10 up to $100 a month. All your donations are appreciated and keep us on air. So please do donate if you can. Okay, I just want to check that you guys are still there.
Yes,
Katrina?
I'm here.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm here. I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to continue with asking you about, have you ever encountered entities while you're doing your regression, and what exactly are these entities as well?
Right. No, this is a whole topic actually.
Yeah.
Entities, right? Just to try to maybe just to share a little bit. And also have to say, there's much more to explore, and I think more and more people coming across this topic. Now, what I mentioned before, if someone comes here and like the woman who's like friend and she worked together with was passing away because he killed himself. This is like where a human being, so to speak, someone who was in a human physical body, died, and sometimes for some reason either part or the whole soul, it's not moving, to the place where I usually go. So, and then this is kind of called, is kind of, you clear this one, because their emotions can influence the emotion of the person they are with. So in the case with the woman, she was very sad because he was sad. As I said, there was a lot of guilt and shame. And then we talked to him, and then I was kind of helping a little bit to release that fear, fear of going to hell. And then, he was able to move, and we both felt it. And then her energy field was clear. Yeah. And it's called spirit release. Yeah.
Right.
So there's spirit, sounds like someone who was in a human body, passed away, and maybe, part of the soul, it's still there, an earthbound soul, so to speak. And it's attached to a person's auric field. And you can feel their habits, It can be, in this case, it was that the person was very sad, the client, yeah. Or it can be, that you feel out of the blue, you just want to eat something different, even your eating habits can change, yeah.
Right.
And sometimes we can pick this up even as a child, and then we don't feel it so much. But if you're an adult and you pick something like this up, then you feel, because out of the blue, you might do things or feel things or think things which you usually don't do. So this can be a sign, yeah. And then I do it, before we do any past life regression. I know some therapists, they clear always before any session. I'm not necessarily doing this, but some people do this, and I think it's fine too. Now, another thing is, so there is another topic with other entities. This is like a spirit, let's call it a spirit, which was I describing. No, and I just had yesterday a woman, and there are some other entities out there. I cannot give them a name. I know in the internet people give them names. I can just describe the way I experience it. Yeah. So where to start there? It's kind of like
Which is like the most common sort of entities that you come across?
I cannot even tell you the most common, because
Right.
it's so different. No, it's we speak about the lower astral plane. Yeah. So this is this level. Yeah. So this is the density, dimension, or vibrational field we're talking about. Yeah. And in this field, there are many, many different life forms. Yeah. Many different, there are life forms you wouldn't think it's existing as a life form, but it is. Some of them, they don't care about us. They're just, they're just existing there. It's like you walk on the street and there's someone on the other side of the street and just walks by, and you don't notice them, and they don't
Right.
notice you. It's the same there, they just exist there. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And
Is this like what people call the archons?
no, I'm not talking about the Archon. So
It's
that I just talk about my own experience, what I
Okay.
see.
Okay.
I can't relate to anything else because I haven't read so much about it. I just tell you from my experience what I see. So there are life forms in there in the lower astral field. They're absolutely fine, no harm. They're not interested in you. Yeah. There are other life forms there, they are very much interested on a human being because these are like the entities, I don't know if they are archons, I just can say the way I experience them, and they are they are a little bit aggressive, so to speak, yeah? Aggressive in this way that there are also different forms there, there's not only one form, they're using different methods to attach to the person and to get energy from the person.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes people say, oh, we have to fight them. And yeah, I agree, because sometimes it can make the person very, very uncomfortable. Yeah. But then if we think this way, we go in like a victim perpetrator mode. So I'm the victim and they're the perpetrator. So I find it's not really useful. Yeah. But just to describe what I see now, these entities, they like to manipulate a human being on emotional level, the way we feel. They can influence the thoughts. They can influence habits. They like to put certain energetic implants into a human being. They have access points in the human body where it's very easy to get the person. And very often, they come in a moment where it was a very stressful situation in a person's life. It could be shortly after birth, it could be an accident, it could be a person could be in coma, something where a person was under a lot of stress and not a usual situation. Because if we are under such a stress, our auric field, which is our protection, gets weak, and they can access this, right?
Right.
So, and these are not so easy to let go, because you have to see there are both sides. One side is the entity, and these beings, wherever they came from, they don't have a physical body. They can't stand the light for some reason. They exist just in this lower vibrational astral world or astral plane. Yeah.
It sounds like the jinn.
It's a
Sorry.
little bit. They might have different names in different countries. I don't know. I know about the names, but I just relay on what I'm seeing.
I think it's very difficult to just label them, really.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just from what she was saying, it just triggered me to kind of like say that, because I know that in legends they're tied to lineages as well, like soul lineages. So you could be reincarnated, and that you're like the jinn would follow you, because it's your frequency. It's your frequency they're attached to, not your physical body.
Exactly.
So and their lifetime, one of their lifetimes is said to be multiple of our human physical lifetimes. So you can actually, but then your therapies would actually get rid of that, because you could take them back to work through the soul contract that you actually made with the jinn in previous lives.
Exactly.
And say it's okay now, I don't need you now, I can let you go now.
Yeah.
And you could just
clear. Yes, Nyssa, you know what it is? It's very interesting to say, I know people work with soul contracts, yeah? But the thing is, if you still have a trauma from when, if we did a soul contract, it's not necessarily that we did a contract in between life, no. It could be we did it in a lifetime and we've been in a physical body.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It would have been in a body. Yeah, that's what I mean.
What I experience, it's one of my experiences. That's why I see them, because I need to deal with them as soon as I started to work with energies. They was just bunching. They're just coming from all sides. I never knew why, and I had a lot of difficulties there. Yeah, no, this was just recently. So you can when you're trained, once you do past life and you know how it works, you can do it on yourself. It's possible. Yeah. So I went back on a past life experience, because I was asking myself, why do I have this? Why do I have this experience? What's behind there, and why it's so difficult to let them go? Because just saying, I delete the soul contract, it's not working for everyone. Still there, right? Now, what I found out, there was very often a moment in our life, it might be a past life, where we felt overwhelmed with a situation. Yeah. It could be we felt not powerful enough. It could be we couldn't defend our clan, our group, or anything. Yeah. And we were in a really, really strong despair and need, and it was about maybe life and death, and then out of this pressure, then we decided maybe to call on energies to help us, to not feel that way. And then they come along and say, you know what? I give you the feeling of being powerful. I give you the feeling of not being lonely. I can give you anything. And you're in such a stressful situation and you don't know what to do. And then someone comes along, even as an entity, and you might say, you know what? It's actually a good idea because then, I feel better then, and then you say, okay, and they say what I saw, and I cannot only speak what I see. As I said, it is still a field to explore. I think no one really knows everything about it, but everyone works in its own way, and maybe we put in more time the bits and pieces together. What I saw, what happened to me there was, they offered me like a sense of being powerful. And I'm telling you, it felt so good. It felt so good. No fear, so powerful. You can do everything. You're so great. And it was such a sweet taste. Yeah. And in exchange, I needed to do a couple of certain incarnations here on that planet. But I wouldn't know which one. I couldn't see what it was about. It was okay, can we have this one? We help you to feel in that way, but in exchange, you have to do certain things for us.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So you get this feeling, and
Yes,
then,
and then
then you have to pay for it in the next life
you
or something.
pay it, or you can't remember, of course, So, and this
Selling
is,
your soul, kind of.
and this is kind of like the way you can do a contract. Yeah. And if I would have said yes, then you are bounded to do certain incarnations. Now, if this is fully true and if it applies to every human being here, I do not know. I just can speak about myself, So, but when I went back, and there might be a moment I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And then you have a certain series of incarnation and you're going to work in this way. But you got something out from it. So what I want to say, it's always it's not only black and white. We also have to see what is my role in the whole thing there. And that's why sometimes just like saying, oh, I'm stepping back from the contract might not help because we are still holding something there, and we need to release it. And then it's much better, if you clear the stuff out, it's much better to say, okay, no, it's over. I step back and then you really can release them. Yeah. Because Nyssa, as you say, it can be over lifetimes. Or what I saw also, a person comes there, has an entity, say, I want to get rid of it. And it has the entity since she is a child, it was a woman. And then, you want to clear it. And then she feels, actually, I feel so comfortable with it. It gives me, I don't feel so alone. If I let it go, I feel alone. Yeah. So as I said, sometimes the conscious mind says something, but if you go deeper in, you come across other, like I say, like other personalities of you, they might hold on to this, but you're not aware in your normal conscious daily life. Now, they are quite, I feel if there's one there, you usually have more. It's always more there. Right. It's not only one. And they're also, I have the feeling they're different species. Some species work together. Some species don't work together. It's like in a hierarchy, And what they need is they need your energy, but they don't need the love energy. They need low vibrational energy. So anything what is anger, fear, guilt, shame. So all these emotions, they're providing them with food. And some of them, they just want to have the food. Others, they would like to, they have like the need to control you. So they want to make sure that you stay into this vibration. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my food source. Because for some reason, they are stuck there,
So they have to keep you in the fear state.
They have to keep you there. And the way it can be, so what I saw in people is, They block totally. There are devices in your crown chakra in there, for example. You cannot cannot really go in there. People say, I cannot meditate, I cannot connect really. They do blocks in front of the heart chakra. You cannot go in there, They're going to send you thought patterns in there. They send in holograms to you. So a lot of things. They send you sometimes if you want to release an energy. They have put energetic devices that the device is like a magnet, so it brings the energy back, so the entity can access you easier. So all sorts of things. It's, really, and some are very technical. They use very sophisticated, very highly developed technical equipment. I have to say it
I've heard like they even set
really,
traps. They even set traps for you, like if you try
really,
and remove them.
yes, and others, they use more simple technological equipment. So, I have to describe it like this way. And, but they work as well, So sometimes if they're really high developed entities, they can hide things, and it's not so easy to detect this, You cannot find it so easily then, And in my experience, it's always good to work on, if we know who we are, they cannot influence us. They need us to hold an identification. Only if we are identified as a victim, not being good enough, not strong enough, whatever, then they get us. Yeah. If we are more in contact with our true beingness, they don't have any chance because, if you don't see them, they feel quite strong and powerful. No, I don't say I saw everything. No, I can just say what I saw. But actually, if you really see them, they are not this huge or this big. It feels much stronger because sometimes the entity might be 2 meters above you, and they just give you an energy and they just surround your whole energy field. So in their vibration, and it feels very strong and powerful, yeah. But actually, if you just see the entity there, they are not this strong, not this powerful. And you think, oh gosh, this do you look like, But they pretend to, because they need you. It's like they're dependent on you and they really don't want to let go, and they do everything to keep you. And that's why they need you to hold in this low vibration to give you ideas what you are, which you are not, so you don't find out who you really are. Because if you do, it's like a little bit, I know almost everyone saw Matrix, first part, Neo at the end, where, they try, the agents really at the end, they just fire all the bullets to him, and he just realizes, what, no, and they cannot do a thing anymore. Yeah, it's the same with when we realize our true strengths and beingness. This is nothing what they can do because they only can manipulate our identification, but they cannot manipulate our true being. It's not possible. It's not possible.
They have to use deception.
Yes, I cannot. I don't know why. I just know it. It's not possible to manipulate our true essence because at the end we all come from one source, and it's not possible because they cannot reach in this high vibration. Yeah, if we, we are here still in the second floor. Yeah, but if we of conscious awareness, because the true beingness of us is so pure, it's so vibrant, it's so powerful, it's so beyond love, they cannot exist there. That's why they cannot manipulate it. They can only manipulate when we are living in identification and where we are experience as a separate being. This is where they can manipulate it, and that's why they do everything that you stay in this dream that you are not good, powerless, and you're not good, can do a thing. Yeah.
Right.
This is my experience.
So they have to keep you in that low vibration state.
Oh yes, they have to. But the thing is they're surviving. That's why they do everything. Yeah.
Right.
To keep you there. Otherwise, I don't know what happened to them, what they did. Why they came to this existence of not getting another food source rather than a human being. Or animals. There are also things attached to animals, not only a human being. Wherever you get energy from. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people could say that these are, I don't want to label them, but they would call them the fallen angels or whatever.
I don't know. I can just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just another label, I guess.
I don't have any reports where they came, so they might not even from this universe. I do not know. But I have, from my feeling, that's not new. It just comes more up as we all, as a collective, we're going to raise our conscience. So more and more people, they come across because, it's like we're raising the vibration. And you think, oh my God, what do I have attached there? What's this? It's just, maybe you had it like a lifetime just out of the blue. Oh my goodness, I'm running around with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is like the natural evolution, of us as having experience as a human, because we are not really human at the end. It's having an
this links into like things like manifestation, because they can't manifest themselves; they have to use us to manifest for them.
For some reason, they are stuck. Now, when I release them, it's kind of like I always pray for both sides. And as I say, I'm still also exploring things each day. I'm learning new things for the people that come here or myself, but the way I don't do it is like to go and hate, and as I say, they need this and they want you to stay there. So this is not the way to deal with them, really, at least not the way I do this, I always ask also, to get healing for them as well, because obviously they're stuck too. But they're quite smart, so you have to find a good balance there. They're quite smart,
Right.
not to underestimate at the other side, So, and then what I do as well, this is like, so we have different sorts of entities, Sometimes I also see, because the dimension they cross, it's not separated, it's not linear, they cross each other. Sometimes you can have an entity and this is, it sounds strange, but maybe it just took the wrong exit. I just said it yesterday, and I said, what are you doing here? You're not belonging there. You put them back in the right dimension. Sounds a bit strange, but...
So they just end up here by accident, kind of thing?
Yeah, sometimes it's a bit confusion, There's it's like streets there.
It took a wrong turn.
Yes, in this astral plane, the way what I see sometimes when I look in there, it's like there's a lot going on, and there's like traffic.
Yeah.
It's like traffic because there are many life forms existing there, and sometimes like here can be an accident, and you just just came off of track, and then out of the blue they are there, and they're like, oh, what I'm doing there, So, and they might attach to you, but not because they want to bad anything, but it just, oh, what happens here? Yeah.
Right.
So, and another thing, it's like implants, and the implants then come the non-physical. I speak about non-physical implants, etheric implants. So they come also from these entities, and but there are also implants. Is another story if people have encounters with ETs, So, but they are quite here in the physical,
So
they all have a physical body.
Is it the entities who put the energetic implants into you so they can feed off of your energy?
Both the entities and certain ETs, like we call it the gray, they don't need your energy, but they do the implants because they do some experiments with you. The reason is it's different, but they also can use implants, in other races, to track you for certain reasons. Yeah. But the entity I spoke before, they don't have a physical body. They cannot exist in this, not in a physicality. But they're kind of stuck there. They can only go any further because of the state of awareness they are in there. Whatever the reason is, I do not know.
Right, that's very interesting. So do you come across a lot of people who, you brought up aliens, people who have maybe been abducted and they have memories which they're being blocked, and you release those memories? Is that common, or is that quite rare for people who've been I don't know. I'm trying to work out like is abductions quite common or not?
Well, I think, if you are on the internet, I think it's quite common, especially in the US, UK. I think it's worldwide like this, and it's increasing, I think it's around for a long time because we know what they told us, what's going on the planet. The history of this planet is not true, what they teach us in school. I think we all know this. There were other species here, 60,000 years ago, and there were always other species here from other planets, so we are not the first one here. And so the CT abduction, I think there are many people, they have an experience. Some of them never will remember because it's just wiped out. They don't know they have it. Some of the people, they do remember. They might be triggered, or they just know. They saw, oh, I woke up and around my bed there were these beings. Yeah. But not everyone comes for a regression. The reason is that because this is also like a traumatic event almost for everyone. There are other encounters where they not have been abducted, where it was more like a sort of friendship to give them knowledge. Is also happening. Yeah. Right. But I'm speaking about the person where it seems like it's against their will, and they can't recall it, and when they have been experimented on and
Right.
it's out. So this is a traumatic event for a person. And if you come for regression, you will remember. Mostly you will, and what comes out might be really, really disturbing. So the question is, not everyone wants to know this, so not everyone wants to come for a regression therapy to find this out, what really happened, because as it is a traumatic event, and I come back what I already said, if you have a trauma, you split. You have the traumatic part, and then you have the survivor, and the surviving part needs to come up with strategies to remember the trauma. So the strategies is there, and I read it in the internet, or they're all space brothers, they're only good, or
Is this linked to like false memories? They implant false memories so you don't remember abductions or traumatic events.
It's also possible, yeah. But it's kind of like, to make it more bearable for you. You think, oh, it's just they only help me in my spiritual development, for example, yeah. But this is a strategy. This is a surviving strategy, so I can grow spiritually. Yes.
So how do you identify if someone's got a false memory, or if it's been implanted into them? They obviously believe it's real.
This is a tricky thing, This is a tricky thing, You might just see as a regression therapist if what they say makes sense. Is it logical? You might ask cross questions, if someone comes for the session, and then you will find out if they always say the same thing,
Right.
It will make sense for you. And then also your personal intuition, you have to work with your intuition, if it makes sense. Sometimes you feel that's not what it is. You just know it's not, and then sometimes you just know exactly what it is. And as I said, and when they do regression, they might remember things that are disturbing, and you have to deal with this,
Yeah.
And the problem is, some people, they say, I want to know what happens, I need this. Some people decide, no, I don't want to do this. And the thing is that very often it's an ongoing scenario, because the abduction, they don't stop necessarily. That's a problem as well.
I guess a lot of people may come to you because of false memories of things that don't add up, they don't make sense to them. They think they know instinctively that there's something wrong,
Yes.
because this memory they have doesn't make any sense, or they have maybe missing time or something like that, and they want to know what happened, because they can feel that memory is not real.
Exactly. No, I don't have too many people with false memories there. It's, as I said, you have to be really, really brave to go into these things. Yeah, and I say a person before, and then very often they step back, and I can understand.
Right.
So because you don't know what comes out, it's the thing you don't know. And, you can help the person to deal with the trauma from the past, definitely, yeah. But you cannot prevent it really from happening. At least I don't know how. Maybe there are people outside, they know, how to do this. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I wanted to touch on like altars. I'm guessing like everyone has altars, do they?
What do you mean by this touch?
Like altars, like when you disassociate, you
Oh, right.
you have like different personalities. Like sometimes if you're highly stressed, you might switch to another personality, or if you're in a certain situation, you'll switch to another personality. I wanted to like work out, like, does everybody have this, or is it just specific people who have been through traumatic events, or is it just like everyone has them in general?
No, I mean, I think everyone has it, because if you just see on a past life and you had 100 past life, and in every life you thought you are this person, man or woman, now you're an identification, you are not. This is already starts there, because you are identified with your body, and this is the first identification you have, and this is not what you are, if we go so far. But if we have to distinguish sometimes, yes, if people are highly traumatized, we know MK Ultra programs, all these things there,
Yeah.
they're purpose traumatized. It starts already when they're in the womb of the mother, if that they get traumatized, and they go through a lot of things of traumatization, and it's done by purpose. That you see, it's very difficult, if you're so highly traumatized, to create a sense of you. Even it's an identification, but to feel yourself as an I. Yeah. So you have really many, many different personalities, and what they do, they like to program each personality, and they can have different names, they have different voices, and they cannot remember. So the split is very, very deep. Yeah. But this is really, really highly traumatized people. Very, very highly traumatized. Yeah.
Is it a good idea to just leave those altars there, or is there a way to get rid of them?
So
You would
yeah,
just leave them, would you?
no, I wouldn't leave them. No, because you are so fragmented, and you are very easy target for everything. You are easy target for entities. You can be manipulated. You're fragmented, and I would never recommend anyone to stay fragmented. No.
Right. Okay.
It's because you cannot live like you live, but this is not the way, how I say, it's very difficult to live like this, because you can be manipulated, and they
Yeah.
do things with you. I mean, if you want this, fine, but I don't think so that people
Well, you can
want.
be like triggered, can't you? Like controlled. People can
You
trigger
can be
you
triggered.
into
It's
an
very,
altar.
yeah, it's very, very difficult. But I think if you defragment someone, you can put it together. I think it's possible. It's a long process, because it's
Yeah.
so early, and but it's like you told Swan, I mean, she went through a traumatic experience, and look where she is right now, you might still have fragmented, but you're coming more to yourself, and no, and if you're not so highly traumatized, like going through a program like this, or to very, very severe situations, like children have been put in child traffic, all these things, it's highly traumatized people, but they do need help, because they suffer like crazy. Really, they suffer. It's unbelievable, yeah, to live like this,
Yeah.
right? And so if you're not so highly traumatized, what happens? Then you are able to create a sense of you. You have a sense of an I. So even you have a trauma and you split, you fragment, you still have that I there, So even you switch. Let's say you are in your work, and your boss comes and shouts at you, or you couldn't do it right, and it just remembers you at your mother, who always told you couldn't do it right, and you feel like a child, and you feel helpless, and you just feel like, I want to cry, I can't cope with this, this aspect of you, this child aspect, is coming up, so you react then as this child, as a child reaction, who doesn't know what to do. You're not an adult anymore. So this is a fragmentation, but it comes and it goes, and you still have a pretty much sense of your I. You're not totally split it. You don't have different names. You don't have different writings. You don't speak about we, so like Marie, Katie, Claire. You don't have this. Yeah. So these are different, very, very strong forms of fragmentation and traumatization. So,
Right.
and not everyone has it so strong, but in my understanding, most people on this planet, they live in identification, and it starts already being identified with the body. That's
It
very
must be difficult for people to know like who they are if they
Oh
have so
yes.
many personalities. Which one is the real you until
Yes,
you break
it's
them all
very
down?
disturbing. This is very disturbing. Yes, and it's a very, there are people doing out the work there. It's very, it's not an easy ride. Because you have to deal on all levels, as I say. You have to deal on the physical, you have to deal on the emotional, mentally, and you deal on the spiritual with the entities, because it's so great. I just can feed from you. Great. Lovely.
So
And
is it like an ongoing process throughout pretty much your whole life, isn't it, really?
yeah, this is a
It's not
lifelong
something you can just
journey.
do.
No, you don't do it in like 1 week, absolutely not. No.
Like even if you do it like over years of therapy to
Yes.
break down all of these altars, get rid of them, it's
But if I
still
still feel better, I've been to a workshop last year in London with Sandra Fecht, and she is a very good therapist, and she works with people who went through satanic child abuse, ritual satanic child abuse, and there were a few people there, and yeah, they get better. That's a good thing. They get better, but you have to work on all levels, because people who do this, they also work on all levels. They don't share this information, like in the normal main domain, it's kind of like no one really speaks about energy, but these people, they know very well, I have to work with this, because there's so much programming in their energy field. It's just crazy. There's a lot going on there.
Have you ever come across people where they've asked you something and you said, "Oh, I can't do that," or "It's not possible to do that under regression"? Like, what are the limitations of
Yes,
regression therapy?
yes.
What can you do and what can't you do?
Yeah. So if people are very have a strong mental issue, yeah, and you feel already they cannot put sentence accurate together, and you feel they're already quite they're not stable. Let's put it in this way. People who are not stable, it could be because something happened, maybe someone passed or whatever. If they are not stable, I don't do regression. Because with the regression therapy, you always have the risk they bump in a trauma. And if they're already suicidal, I don't put them another trauma in there.
Right.
They cannot handle this. So what you have to do, you have to first stabilize the person in their normal daily life so they can deal with this. Yeah, and what I do very often, either I say, very honestly, so I'm sorry, I don't feel I can do this. Might be not, I might be not the right person. Maybe someone else would do it, but I don't feel it. And as I said, I have this trauma constellation, and I don't put them in trance. I don't bring them in regression. So in this method, the trauma constellation, they always can say when it's enough, and they don't have immediately deal with memories, because with the regression you can just bump in a memory like, well, both there it is, I have to deal with it. Yeah, but with the constellation work, it comes gradually. You kind of meet fragmented parts, not necessarily knowing why it's like this or the story behind. You just deal with that part, and it's much easier. It's a bit more gentle process. So that I say, okay, let's do this one. Yeah. So if they have the long record of psychiatric, events, so I don't do regression therapy. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a difficult one, isn't it? Really.
Or they're under drugs as well. If they consume a lot of drugs, then
Yeah, because they may want to know why they're taking drugs or why they have a habit. Maybe they think if they have regression therapy, they'll find
yeah. But then
some
I
of.
use my other therapy. If I feel it's more safe, I say, let's try this one. And very often when they're under drugs, I have to say this, Touch. If you take drugs, you have entities. That's for sure.
Right.
I
Okay.
can tell you this one. If you took drugs, if you're a lot under alcohol, because the drugs, they weaken your energy field. Your auric shield is your protection. You get holes in there, and you are easy target, very easy. And you always have to deal with entities if someone takes drugs. You're definitely not on your own.
Right. So there's no point even like trying to treat someone who's taking drugs, because
No,
even if you remove entities, then more entities will
yeah, I
come
mean,
along anyway.
of course you can work with them, but there might be different approaches necessary before,
Yeah.
not necessarily regression therapy. But this is my personal opinion. Some other regression therapies, I know people, they are kind of specialized working with people with drugs. It's not really my field.
Right. Okay.
I don't know, but I don't have many people that come with drug issues to me. But I know, from what I'm aware of, there are always entities involved. And the entities, they can push you to stay in the addiction as well. Yeah, it's not only you, it's the entity who wants this, because
Yeah, they want to keep you in that low.
Yes.
Drugs isn't easy. Drugs, alcohol.
I would say everyone who works with people with drug addicted, you have to clear their energy fields because it gets much harder for them to get off of it if they want to, because the entity doesn't want to.
Nyssa, do you have any opinions about that?
I completely agree, because it puts holes in the auric field, and also the thought patterns that these spiritual parasites feed off of are reinforced with that intoxication, because people who do get in that state, they remember things differently to the way that they really happen. Like they say, oh, my parents never loved me, and things were really bad. And then when they're sober, they're like, oh, I don't know what that was about. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also wanted to cover if someone wants to find a regression therapist, how do they know the person that they're using is a good therapist, and that they would be able to help them? Because I know you also help people even after regression to deal with all the the baggage or whatever you call it, I guess, that they have to deal with. And I've heard a lot of regression therapists, they regress you, they get your memories back, and then they just sort of leave you to it, So it's a difficult one, I know, but what type of training do you need to have? Are there specific qualifications you should check for when you go looking for a regression therapist?
Right. Now, the first thing I would like to say, just trust your instinct. You will know, you will feel, I don't trust the person, I don't feel comfortable, It's your inner voice who tells you, if you feel ready, no, then leave. It's okay to say, what, I feel not comfortable, I think I don't want to do this, So this is the first thing, you listen to yourself, your own instinct. Very often people, if they come to me, they go on my website and they see a picture and they, for some reason, they feel, yeah, that's the right thing. Or they watch a video. Video is very good. If the person has a video, you can see the voice, the way, what they say, if it resonates with you, and then you can go there. And in terms of education, now it's very good if it's not only an online training, online training, oh, you don't have much experience, So if a person did like few months online training only, right? So it could be still a good therapist, but so a one-to-one presence training, being very good, skilled in hypnotherapy, then being specialized in regression therapy, and then see also, that how long do they work, do you have already experience in that field, and what I personally did, when, I still also get my own sessions, I was just asking the divine presence inside me, please guide me to a good person. Yeah, put out that, please guide but the presence inside you, divine presence inside you, please guide me there, and then look at the website. Very often I get people by referrals, because they have good experience. They tell their friends, so you can also go by this. If someone says, I really have a good feeling with the person, but even so, it might be the person might be not the right for you, so it should have a good training, because, working with trauma is a thing, and we are very vulnerable in a trauma state, very, very vulnerable, and you should have a good person there, who knows what the person is doing, who knows how to deal with trauma, and secondly, who has a heart, who does work for the heart, because wants to help a person by the heart and not for the money, so this is my guidelines I would give by, so yeah.
I also wanted to ask you I forgot to ask you when we were talking about entities. We talked about a lot of negative entities, but I wanted to ask you if people, I've often called people guardian angels, or have you ever come across positive entities? I guess in a way that people have entities who are following them or helping them, or in that sense.
No, that's a bit tricky question because the entities I'm talking, they're in the lower vibrational astral world, and this is not like, see, in this plane, they need lower vibrational, emotions. So it's not really bright there. So they don't like light, they don't like love or anything, so that they don't know what to do. It's like a vampire in the movie goes into the sunlight, ooh, not nice, can't deal with it. And the whole topic was with angel and guides and everything. No, I cannot really tell you how it is. There some people work with this, that's fine, they love it. I also did for a while, and I just sharing very my personal opinion without saying it's like this because I simply do not know. What I
Right.
do know, sometimes there are entities, they tell you your guides, but they have their own agenda.
Right.
You
Okay.
have to be very careful there, even with angels. If you feel good working with angels, continue doing this. If it does any good, I cannot say don't do it, or everyone needs to follow his own intuition. But I only go inside myself. This is I don't ask for anyone else. I just work with the divine presence inside me, full stop. That's how I do it. Yeah.
It's another difficult one, isn't it? Really, because like you say, entities can come saying that they're your guardian angel and they're here to help you, and and all this kind of thing, but they're really these lower vibration entities,
Yeah.
and all they want really is to steal your energy. They don't want to help you in any way.
The other ETs you don't know because there's some ETs they are very developed, and they're psychically very developed, so that's a lot of things could happen there, So that's why I turn within. That's how I do this, because it made me so confused when I started but it's my own story, And then I was starting to work with angels and the guides, and I had so many different energies in my room. I didn't know what was what. I'm telling you, it was a mess. It was a mess. There were people who passed, there were other entities and these entities. It was a whole disaster, And then I said, you know what? I don't do anything like this anymore as long as I don't know who's who, So I switched everything off for a while. I didn't do anything because it was just such a disaster, yeah. And then no, but this is my own belief. I believe there's only one source, one essence, where we all came from. And, and I think I'm still, as everything is crossing, and Nyssa said it very well, everything happens simultaneously, and I'm still that. And that's why I'm just looking inside. I'm not asking anymore from outside, I'm asking from inside. But when I was times, especially I was still insecure and didn't trust myself. Yeah, I was calling out from outside, but I don't do it anymore. But this is my development. I always say by the power inside me. I'm not calling about a higher self and thinking it's outside of me. So it's two of us or what? No, it's not two of us, only one.
Yeah.
Because there's also, in my opinion, I go a bit off of topic, but there's in my opinion, also a lot going on in the spiritual world. There's so many people coming to me asking, can you connect me to my higher self? And this keeps people in the illusion that it's them and the higher self. No, there's two beings there. It's one.
Yeah, I think people have a hard time imagining that they are they exist on all levels at the same time.
Yes.
They have a real, I mean, people are getting there because they're beginning to understand the concept of dimensions. So they're getting there slowly. But it's quite tricky.
It's tricky because also the spiritual sometimes teaching, and there's so many books written, they keep you in separation.
Yeah.
They keep you in
everything.
separation. And the thing is you already what you are. You don't have to be connected to a higher self. The only thing what you have to do is to give up what you are not are. All your identifications. And because you are this already, we don't have to create ourselves new. We are this. And it's totally different if you believe you are this and you're just letting go what is not yours and your false beliefs, false identification. As when someone comes to me and tells me, oh yeah, please, my higher self is there above me, please help me to reach them, you still, and even you have a connection, you think you have a connection, yeah, you're still in a total illusion of separation. It doesn't bring you anywhere.
Yeah. We're gonna end in a minute or two. Do you want to just give out your information where people can contact you, Katherina?
Yes. They can contact me over my website, and my website is Hypnosis in Ireland. It's like www, one word, hypnosisindublin.com. And I also do Skype sessions for people they are not based in Ireland. And so it's possible to get in contact with me over my website or via email or over phone or WhatsApp,
Okay,
Skype.
I'll put all your contact details in the video description when I upload it onto YouTube, so people can find you online through there if you just send me those details.
I do.
Okay. Nyssa, do you want to just talk quickly about our guest next week?
Yeah, I've got a guest next week called Yvette Rose, and she is she's a multidimensional healer, and she's written several books, and it's the metaphysical anatomy process, which is basically the process of, if you have a health issue, it's originated either from genetic memory, because it's been passed down generally 3 generations on the mother's side, or it's emotional memory that's coming out. So it's a good show next week, okay? But it's an excellent show this week as well. Thank you very much, Katherina. Thank you.
Thank you, Nyssa. Thank you, Taj.
Okay. I can hear the music coming in. So, thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
And until next week, goodbye.